Good morning, St. Francis, and good morning, people of God. It is Tuesday, the 25th day of July, 2023, Tuesday of the 16th week of the year, the 16th week in Ordinary Time. But today we also remember and revere the memory as a feast of the Apostle St. James. So my namesake, me, but St. James is remembered today. Who is this James, you may ask? Because there are two of them that are listed as apostles within the registers in the Gospels. This is St. James the Greater, as opposed to St. James the Less, who is lumped with Philip, and his feast, their feast day is some other day of the year. I forget what it is. But St. James the Greater, was he a brother of the Lord? Was he a cousin of the Lord? Was he something of Jesus's? It's never very clear. And who we're celebrating today, is it that person who is mentioned in the Gospels or not, or whatever it is? St. Paul writes that Jesus in his appearance, resurrection appearances, appears to James. And so, and tradition holds that he was head of the Jerusalem community after Peter goes off to Rome. He himself is beheaded because of his teachings about Jesus and furthering the mission of Christ and things like that. So a whole bunch of things. We don't know, again, much about him or who he was and or what more he did, but his name is listed, and his name comes down through the tradition of being this great man, this great part of Jesus's earthly ministry. And so we remember him today. It is a scorcher today, the Great Green Slope, as you can see where I am, and there I am, and there is the labyrinth right over there. There are all kinds of people running around today because it is our last week of Camp St. Francis that we're having here in the community center right behind me. And so our readings for today are special because it's the Feast of St. James. 2 Corinthians. So again, he also writes a letter, and we don't read from his letter today, which is bizarre, but again, it is what it is. So the letter, second letter to the Corinthians, Paul writes again that what makes Christians and believers special is that we do not give up. And he lists a whole bunch of things, that we are oppressed and we are downtrodden and we are despised, blah, 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 and we don't give up. And why? Because while there is death in us, there is also life. And that life that comes from God, the life that comes from Christ. And we have to remember that. We have to remember that because we can let despair, disappointments, and all kinds of other things seem to get the best of us. And if we do that, then recognizing the life that is Christ within us comes to nothing, and it is thought useless. And that is not what we're ever called to embrace or to witness or to manifest to the world. Is the fact that we don't give up. We don't just endure. We persevere. And in that perseverance, we give glory to God in what we say and what we do. The gospel is the sons of Zebedee, again, James and John. Now, again, is this James the Greater? Well, if he's Jesus's brother, cousin, or whatever it is, you think that would be mentioned, in some way, but it's not. So is this James the Lesser with his brother John? Anyway, and who is this woman, this mother of theirs? Is it Jesus's aunt? Is it Jesus's something other? Because if it's not Mary, it's again, nobody, there's no clarity in any of this. So be careful with the legends and the traditions that are passed down, because the gospel chronology doesn't always follow what we want it to follow as. Anyway, the question that the mother of the sons of Zebedee basically says to Jesus, give my kids, the right and the left of your place in the in glory in heaven, or whatever it is. Again, and Jesus basically says it's not about that. And although James and John say, we can handle anything that you get, Jesus, they really don't, and they really perhaps can't. And so Jesus says to be wary about what it is that we ask for. And he comes down again to the whole point that greatness is held as something important among the non-believers, but greatness cannot be understood in that way by us. To be great means to serve, and to serve without counting the cost, to serve without limits, to serve without complaint, being there for each other, walking with each other, journeying with each other, being a part of each other's lives. That's how we come to life. To say that we don't care about this, or we don't care about that, or we don't care about anything can become problematic, because we are supposed to care in so many ways, and care that gives life, care that gives hope, care that gives strength, especially in the flourishing of relationships and the flourishing of that which God has given us to enrich our lives, which is long and short one another. And so we remember today this message as we remember James, who in his own way perhaps did never give up, and even in the midst of difficult times in those first years, in those first those first decades of the growth of the Christian movement, tried to be firm, tried to be faithful, tried to be true and authentic to what it is that Jesus asked him to do. A blessed day, St. Francis and people of God. May the Lord give you his peace.